Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. So throughout the two most recent Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, which I always refer to as the Rush Duel era anime of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s and Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, we have seen a lot of amazing throwbacks to some of the older Studio Gallop shows, and in this video I wanted to specifically take a look at 5 blatant Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's references in Rush Duel Yu-Gi-Oh! So these can be references either with very specific cards or with moments or even with items that were used by 5D's characters. So without further ado, let's go down a nostalgia trip. I hope you all enjoy. Number 5, the Dark Signer Marks, episode 53 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. So in this episode, we see Yu-He and his gang of misfits walking around the town, and in one of the cutscenes, we see them talking to some other characters who are kind of thankful that Dormammu graffitied on the wall because it gave the town some flavor. And what Dormammu graffitied is really, really fascinating. If you take a look, you will notice that these are 4 of the Dark Signer marks. We have the mark of the monkey, the mark of the hummingbird, the mark of the giant, and this is a really awesome reference to one of the most iconic villain groups probably in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, but especially in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Yugioh uses Highend Road, Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, episode 51. So this might be one of the more obscure ones to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but let me explain how I believe this is a 5Ds reference. So in one of the final duels of the first season, we see the Odo twins Yu-He and Yuumu take on Yugioh, or that guy, the main character from Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, who's also an Odo. And at the very end of this duel, Yu-He activates a trap card called Highend Road. Well, if you remember the final duel of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds between Yusei and Jack, during Jack's attack on what ended up being his final turn ever in the anime, Yusei activated the trap High and Low. Both trap cards allow the duelists that use them to avoid losing. The Odo duel ended up being a draw, and of course Yusei ended up winning on his very next turn. And if you felt that the name itself and the impact that they had on the duels and used at the end of the show wasn't enough of a connection, take a look at the artworks. The artworks are super, super similar, and I just feel like this is definitely a reference to the High and Low trap card in the final duel of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Number 3, the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's manga cover, which shows up in episode 76 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. At one point in this episode, we see Yuga and Kaizo looking at what appears to be a promotional poster for a ramen shop. But if you look a little closer, you'll notice that this poster is identical to the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Volume 5 manga cover. The pose that Yusei is doing in this cover looks exactly like the pose the horse on this poster is performing. And Stardust Dragon, of course, gets replaced with a ramen bowl, but even the location of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's text at the top is almost identical to where the text is on the promotional poster, and that horse with the red eyes looks very similar to the Crimson Dragon, or the dragon symbol, I guess, that's on the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's manga chapter cover. It's a super cool and easy to miss reference, and it's another really awesome way that Rush Yu-Gi-Oh! Pays tribute to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Number 2, Riding Rush Duels, episode 54 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. So at the start of the second season, we had the Goha siblings that were introduced to us, and they were projected to be the villains of that season, even though that wasn't really the case. But the oldest brother was a man named Yugioh Goha. Well, Yugioh challenges Yuga in episode 54, and he challenges him not to a regular duel, but he challenges him to what's called a Riding Rush Duel, where Yugioh Goha and Yuga get on essentially D-wheels and duel each other while riding in a circle. This whole duel is a love letter to the riding duels that, of course, originated in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime. Yugioh is even described to be a turbo duelist, which is, of course, what pretty much every duelist in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds was, and this whole episode was an awesome, awesome tribute to 5Ds and the dueling style that originated in that show. Number 1, Jack Atlas's D-Wheel, episode 25 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. So this is such an easy one to miss, but this is easily my favorite 5Ds reference we have gotten so far in the Rush era of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's one of my favorite references we've probably gotten ever to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. Right before Yuga and Nail are about to do their rematch duel, they are in the Goha Dueling History Museum, and we see a quick shot across the screen, and if you pause it right here, you can see Jack's Wheel of Fortune D-Wheel in the Museum of Dueling in Goha City. If that doesn't break down the barriers, I don't know what does. It's probably just a little Easter egg, but to me, it confirms that there was a version of Jack Atlas that must have existed in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's world. Whether that's the 5Ds Jack Atlas, the 5Ds manga Jack Atlas, the Arc 5 Jack Atlas, who the hell knows? But still, it's an awesome reference and one of my favorite to 5Ds in all of Rush Yu-Gi-Oh! And that wraps it up. Those were 5 times that Rush Yu-Gi-Oh! Have referenced Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And considering Rush Yu-Gi-Oh! Has only gone on for about 3.5 years, and we might still have plenty of more years of Rush-style Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'm sure we are going to get plenty of more references to 5Ds and all of the other spin-off series as well. Please let me know your thoughts on all of these Easter eggs. Let me know which ones are your favorite, and please let me know if you think I missed any specifically pertaining to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And definitely comment below if you'd like to see me do this for the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows as well. Thank you guys all so much for watching. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Goosey Q and Panther J, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, and Elaine, and to my Egyptian God tier patron, Pink Penguin. Be sure to check out my Patreon for additional channel perks. Thank you to everybody who is a patron or channel member. You guys help me out tremendously. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out my channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime content, and I hope you have an amazing day.